All right, ladies and gentlemen, Fabs in the house, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in the house with something special, something you probably haven't seen it yet, because this is a prototype from Cosmo Knives, which you can see right over here. He's making stuff right from Salt Spring Island in BC, Canada. Super pumped to share my impressions with you because this is a pretty cool one. The guy is very, very nice and look at this packaging, like wood. Cosmo right over here. You open it up and look at that. You're gonna be welcomed nicely with the knife, with the tool, and a little spot for the bearings right over the here. That's a pretty cool packaging, if you ask me. There is a little bit of rattle here and a tiny bit of rattle there, so there's going to be a little bit of rattling here when you just shake it, but maybe just like a piece of paper, or like tightening a little bit the tolerances for the wood is going to just make this not rattle, but still just a minor thing going on. But presentation for sure is just, yeah, it's pretty cool, because look at that. It's nicely made, pretty well thought. He went the extra mile for sure with the packaging. The knife comes with this tool where there's pretty much like two bits. They do not come out. You have a little bit of a rubbered area here to get a little bit more grip, and that's going to be nicely and useful if you don't have any Wiha bits or whatever other brand bits to take this knife apart. So this is a pretty interesting knife, guys. Look at that. We got some titanium handles, milled with a very fine set of wavy lines around this blasted core. So you have the central design just waving in like that and just getting wide and just getting thinner and then widening up again. And that is like pretty well sandblasted, and here these milled lines are just showing the raw titanium underneath, and it's just creating a very cool contrast in the handle, 100%. The other side is just symmetrical. You get a nice flowing pocket clip, just well integrated with the design of the scales. And that's something, that's a very nice touch. I like it. So guys, remember, this is still a prototype, so you might see some imperfections, and also like, the finished product might not be the same. But still, we are checking out this work right over here. So the pocket clip is also very interesting because as you can see, the hardware is just this guy over here. So simple construction, one pivot screw, one handle screw going through this standoff right over here, and just catching the pocket clip on the other side, which is beautifully contoured together with the handle. You can see a little bit of a gap right there with just tightens right over here, and you have a little bit of a gap right there. But still, again, guys, this is a prototype, so this is to give an idea. And this guy is really flexible and open to changes and improvements and criticism. So it's gonna be a fantastic journey to develop this fella right over here, which I know, guys, I still have to open it up. I just want to keep a little bit of tension and suspense right there before I show you the blade, because I want to show you this fella right over here. Look at that. This is a reminder of the compression lock that you find on some Spyderco knives, and you guessed, that's a flipper knife. From the outside, we can still see this Cosmo custom pivot right there, and of course keyed in oval shaped captive from the show side. But enough with the blah. Look at this. You open this fella up and you're mostly welcomed by this unusual blade, which has a lot of things going on. So it has a chamfer going on this on the edge, on the spine right over here. It just stops after the bump around the blade hole, and swedge and the primary bevel are just milled like you would find on the first generation Skaha, or like some Norseman. You can see these kind of blade milling, and it's again matching the finish of the handle, creating this contrast between the blasted areas and the milled areas, exposing the raw steel right over here and just blasted there, matching this dual tone finish for the handle. It is pretty cool. Yes, it's nice and shiny. I like it very much. The hole is chamfered and not sharp whatsoever. Also, these lines are nicely symmetrical. They end up there and they end up there, so they match. You get a little bit of belly up to this point, and I would say straight edge up to the sharpening choil. Plunge grind just recesses back and meets a little bit of chamfering as well in this flipper tab, which is showing off a little bit of jimping right there, some chamfering, and a nice hole indeed. So that is the knife, guys, and as you guessed it, here we have a compression lock right over here, which just is modified to get it pushed right over here, so you don't have to go inside and push it right there and risking that the blade just touches your finger. So it's just gonna be right there on the side, just like that. Right? So that is the beauty of this fella. The mechanism, the locking mechanism right over here, it just snaps in place, absolutely solid, and you just do that to get it closed. So very clever, very nicely executed lock. Something I wanna say is the simplicity of the construction. Just very straightforward built, but at the same time there's some complexity because you check the internal milling. There's like 3 pockets on the lock side, let's say, which is not, that's the lock side. The lock is on this side, but this is, say, show side. You have 1 pocket right over here, and you have like a larger pocket, but that's gonna be for the lock, which is right here. So it's pretty clever. It's pretty ingenious. The overall design is pretty good. Is very nicely contoured in the hand. This area here is fantastic. How this is not digging in your palm is very good, because you see it's all rounded off. I really appreciate that. That is it's kind of even slippery here, but you lock in, of course, with this finger groove right there. It's not gonna go anywhere, but it's not gonna dig in. And if it does, it's just rounded off. It's like a ball, so it's not gonna bother you. I love this little detail right over there. So ergonomically speaking, it's pretty good. In the hand, feels good. You feel this bump because it just protrudes like that, but it's not bothering you. It's just rounded off and it's locked in place. Fantastic. I would have liked a little bit of jimping, but it's very well locked in place, so I'm not bothered that much by the lack of jimping right over there. Another little thing that it's just like aesthetic preference, like personal preference, is this bump right over here. I'm not sold on that. Reminds me a little bit, not saying the Arius, but kinda. And it's, I don't know why it doesn't really sit well. I would have preferred maybe like the continuation of this line right over here, maybe from here, and just, I don't know, having less bump up top over here. I like the Wharncliffe blades, of course. I would have preferred maybe something a little more abrupt, more like decisive, less pointy, but still, this is reminiscent a little bit again of the Paisan tip, which I like, but I would have preferred maybe something like, I would say, haptic, but just to give you an idea of what I mean. I like the full belly right there. I like these milled lines, creating this pretty cool contrast right there. I like the fact that it's sterile looking. Honestly, I'm not a fan of this font right over here. I would do something different. I like this approach over here. Kind of reminds of the bullets, right? It doesn't really go well, the two fonts, in my opinion. So just one in the back, maybe a little bit subtler and clean, or like something like a decoration going on over here. It would be nicer, in my opinion. Just not a fan of this font. But overall, this fella, it's pretty clean. It's the lock side as well is very clean because of the absence of screws and just the presence of this lock, which would bring me to the second gripe that I have towards this knife, because this area here, it's kind of like a little bit small. So the lock here couldn't be extended up there because, as you can see, the flipper tab just barely clears here, kind of like reminiscent of the Hattie Magnetic from Shirogorov, but it could be extended a little bit below, so you have a wider area for your index finger to disengage the lock bar. And that would be my second gripe. So this bump over here, I mean, it still works perfect, but you have to kind of like this, for example, it's not going to work. So you have to use the fingertip like that to be able to press it closed, to press it and close the blade. If this thing would be wider, you could be able to just deploy it easier like that, because here I have to kind of pinch it and just like press with the tip of my finger. So it would be beneficial to have a wider button, let's call it that way, to increase the fidgetability and the accessibility of the actual lock. I mean, it works wonder like that, because did you see that? Like, it's fantastic, right? You just flip it out and you just catch it there, and this guy closes. So very effective. Add fidgetability, you just can deploy it even like this, right? And just get it closed like that. As well, you can do a reverse flick because of this hole, right? Or you can, guess what? Yeah, do a thumb flick and deploy the blade like that. You can just break the detent like so. Nothing wrong with that. This is a very promising blueprint for what's coming up next by Cosmo. This sets a new bar for what can be achieved by a person. This guy he's doing this stuff by himself in his shop on Salt Spring Island. You can check his stuff is very innovative. It's unseen, and it's a fresh new air coming into the knife world, seeing something unusual, something you might not be familiar with, and something that works actually. Because yeah, this thing just works. And did you see how this fella just closes? And by the way, guys, how about this deep cluck and this high-pitched tinkle? Once more, cluck, tink, cluck, tink. Very nicely executed. It's not perfect. There's room for improvement. He's open to suggestions. So let me know in the comments down below, how would you change? What would you like to see introduced? What would you see go away? How would you improve this already pretty solid base for this knife from Salt Spring Island, BC, Canada, made by Cosmo? So there you have it. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.